Right, we on, baby. Watene, Waenga. Welcome to the Luke Farr Show to motivate, educate, and inspire our next generation of leaders. Thank you, young. Can I still say young man? Or yeah, okay, we'll say young man. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Sweet as, brother. Always a pleasure catching up with you.
Yeah, it's been a while. So for the audience, let's get stuck in. Like, you're the director of Amend Movement, which is effectively a non-for-profit organization, reshaping and shifting the narrative with expressing one's thoughts, feelings, and emotion. You're also a youth worker and cancer survivor. I guess first things first, like, we all deal with shit, in a trauma and flurries of emotions. But as we know, it's what we do about it and what tools we have in our tool belt to cope. I mean, for you, what pivotal moment was it for you when you said, fuck, I got to start working on myself, and what tools have you found to be the most effective for you, man?
Yeah, that's a really good question, bro. There's no like super specific moments. I guess, I reflect back over my life. There's definitely been periods where I felt like I wasn't happy with the life that I was living. Ultimately, I'd say if I had to specifically choose a time in my life where I realized I wanted something to change long term, was when I became a father, which was at a really young age. And I knew that I didn't want to be, for the most part, because my dad was really amazing also. For the most part, I didn't want to be the father that I had. And there were early parts of my being a dad, I was just that. So I had to relearn, learn how to be an amazing dad, or be a good dad, or even just be a dad who simply listens. So I would say that was a pivotal moment for me, bro. Regarding tools on how I navigate things, is, I could go down so many rabbit holes with that now, with all the knowledge that I have sort of come to and through over the last 14 years in particular. I would say, bro, the most powerful tool that I've utilized and I still utilize today is breathing. Whereas a lot of humans don't realize how healing, how powerful our own breath is.
And we are effectively over breathing as a society, right?
Yeah, well, I could even say under breathing. A lot of people, breathe very shallow to their chest up only. So it's like, let's get even scientific, we've got all these other main organs below that are not receiving the oxygen they need to function at their highest capacity. Which also, when we're breathing out to our chest only, it calls in and creates anxiety and all these energies that don't serve our higher self.
Yeah, 100%. And when you know that you're in that sort of fight, flight, or any form of crisis mode or stress mode, and you can sort of, you personally just quickly sense that you're going into upper chest breathing, like, how do you quickly just go back into that deep diaphragmatic type stuff, which we know is far more powerful?
Yeah. Through self-awareness, I'm able to notice that, and I just pause and then go back to practicing my breath again, deep breath. However, I like to catch it before I get to the moment. So every single morning I'm practicing deep breathing, habituation. When I'm in autopilot, I want to ensure that I'm breathing, deeply right to the barrel of my belly. So not often I'll get caught in shallow breathing. However, things in life, and we all experience it, get fast, and I have found myself back in those places again. I just pause, bro, and just consciously breathe, and it takes me back to my autopilot again.
Yeah, nice one. And what about for those like really strenuous, heavy workouts? I know you're a massive gym goer, and you're at like peak performance and things. Are you any sort of tips and tools for people out there that are sort of they're trying to reach their limit, or they want to do another set, or even if it's cardio, they're going hard, but like, is it just simply to focus on nostril breathing, or any little hot hacks that you've got when you are really breathing rapidly?
Yeah, for me, bro, it's like thought. Everything is followed by a thought. And, like you said, I've always loved the gym since I was as long as back as I can remember. And I know that my thoughts inside the gym and everywhere in my life used to be that of like, fight everything. And my breath would follow that. I learned this, and I've learned this over the past 10 years. And, my thoughts now to flow and be with whatever resistance is coming into my space. I'm able to do that. My breath follows that, and that also translates and mutes into all other areas of my life also.
Yeah, nice, good insights. Let's quickly talk about sort of the old one, the new one. what was the frame of thought and frame of mind of the old Wa? What types of sort of emotions, patterns of thinking going on with the old Wa versus the new Wa? And if you were to look back now and tell the old Wa, like what would have been sort of that either one, I guess, two-prong approach question there, but what would be the one sort of sentence you just say to that clearly, obviously different Wa back then?
Yeah, it's interesting when I speak to people like yourself from my past who know that version of me. Even when you ask a question, there's quite a smirk on your face, and I understand.
Well, I know that version, yeah, because you tried to roll me a couple of times.
And I apologize for that, bro.
I've been right in the flight path.
Oh,
you and Zach Guilford, just throwing out a couple of names there.
Yeah.
Shout out to also Reece Evans was the only ones that used to break it up.
Oh, I apologize, my brother. I know I have done that before. However, apologize again. And what I would say, to you and also back to myself is like, I was a very hurt human being. Upon reflection and knowing what I know now, the people that were supposed to keep me safe and love me, for the most part, done the complete opposite of that, which left me a very hurt and broken kid who then, turned into a teenager who now had a physical presence about himself and didn't know how to not only regulate his emotions, but knew nothing about emotions other than you don't show them. And because of that, I was projecting all that hurt and brokenness onto anyone that came into my space. So I guess in a nutshell, bro, that would be a snippet of the old version of myself. And the version today is, I still have that little hurt dude inside of me that I continue to love on and heal and embrace. And because I've done a lot of healing and I have so much love for myself now, I'm able to pass that on to others as opposed to the hurt. What would I say to that young dude? Like, there's so many fucking cool, deep things that I could say to that dude, but it would just be like, everything's going to be okay. And I love you. Because those are the words I simply wanted to hear from my old man that I didn't, yes, I may have heard them a couple of times, but I never felt those words.
Yeah, it was just like lip service.
Yeah, bro.
Let's talk a little bit. I don't want to get too scientific, but I mean, just on past guests and knowledge I've absorbed, like the amygdala, which is the emotional memory bank of the brain, which you're probably well aware of. And I resonated with you when you were saying, yeah, you've still got a little bit of that, it's like constant work, right? Because those thoughts and feelings arise based on either the conditioning or the program or the actions that have happened in the past. Like for me, suffering from panic attacks and anxiety, like that's always there with the amygdala. Like, what are you just, once again, those tool belt type things, like when you feel those emotions arising and that, like, what's one real, like, do you have sort of just do you just go back to your thought processes? Is it a matter of rewiring your brain, which is just an ongoing learning, or any other skills or things that you've learned over the past that can get you back into the better version of yourself?
Yeah, good question, bro. And for me, some people may not know, but our subconscious mind, which chooses 95% of our day every single day and will for the rest of our life, was programmed from the ages of, right in the last trimester of our whilst we're in our mum's bellies, to the age of 7. And I believe there's not enough concrete evidence to say yes or no. Oh, what's going on there?
Back with you up.
There you go, my brother. I was like, what the fuck's going on? Oh, my computer's frozen again.
No, that's all good. You're back. I can hear you now.
Sweet. Not sure how much of that you caught, bro.
No, that's okay. No, it was a small blip, man. That's fine.
Yeah, what I was saying is,
the audience will stay tuned in because we're two good-looking blokes, so we're fine, bro. It's all good.
Perfect. Our subconscious mind is programmed from the ages 0 to 7 years old. And I'm a firm believer and there's no concrete evidence to say yes or no, that actually never goes away. So it's something that we get to.
Oh, don't tell me that, brother. That's I want this brain. I want this brain to change, man. It's hard work most
There's
days.
definitely change and growth that occurs.
Yeah.
However, that part of you will always be there. We just get better at managing and navigating through it. So, you know, how I would say I'm able to now catch, you know, old versions of myself and come back to a higher version or my present self is pause. Like pause is something that I practice even when I'm deeply regulated and grounded. Like pause is a word that's just in my vocabulary so frequently that it's just natural for me to pause. And that gives me time and space to respond to what's going on, as opposed to reacting to what's going on, that old version of myself, where I would react to fucking everything. So I like to keep things really simple, bro, and not overcomplicate things.
Yeah, that's interesting. The pause is powerful, and even silence is powerful. I think we're in an age whereby we're in an always on, whether it's social, whether it's you name it, man. We're in a busy world, so it's very challenging to find those pause moments, silence and solace. It's pretty challenging, eh? On that front, when you mentioned about yeah, that part will always be with us, which, I mean, probably the worst news I've heard all day. And but no, to tie into the reason why, because I think I've got an unrealistic expectation in my head to be like, oh, I can't wait to be the better version of Luke, which will forget about that anxious, small inner child little bitch boy that is constantly paranoid and worrying and rah rah rah. One day I will be this version, which, yeah, that's fucking, but that's just a bullshit narrative, eh? Because like you said, like I'll get better at it, but I'll still have that part of me that it will never go away.
Yeah,
which is fascinating because it's part of your history. Yeah, you can't. Well, history and feelings and like kind of like that DNA type stuff, right?
yeah. I would say language. Well, I know that language follows a thought. So what you just said is, you know, you're sitting waiting and you can't wait to be the better version of yourself. And if that's repetitive thought and even language that you're using, automatically you're setting yourself up for fail. And why I say that is because that's future tense, which means for the rest of your life, you're going to be waiting to be better. Like you are the better version right now.
Yeah, I've been waiting since the age of 15. But yeah, that's so true, eh? Yeah, it is. It's and once again, it's rewiring and programming that new thought. Like as you know, man, better than anyone else, probably. Like Joe Dispenza says that thoughts create feelings, feelings create emotions. Like what are some small steps we can take to like change our thoughts, especially since what we've just been talking about, we've been programmed and wired into a certain pattern of thinking for so long, which is trapped into the subconscious. What do you do on a day-to-day, man? Is it just like meditation? Is it writing stuff down? Like rewiring the brain is a proper thing, but it's a lifelong journey, as you know. But what are you doing day to day to just keep on top of it?
Yeah, so there's, you know, lots of people meditate, and there are so many different reasons and purposes as to why people meditate. So the reason why I meditate is to get into a deeply relaxed state, because when I'm in a deeply relaxed state, I go into a state of theta, which means everything that I'm downloading from my human senses are bypassing my analytical, my conscious mind, and going to my subconscious mind, which is my autopilot, which chooses 95% of my day. So getting into that deeply relaxed state and then ensuring that what I'm absorbing regarding my human senses are one of a present tense affirmation, but also of affirmations that are supporting the person that I want to be moving forward. So that's something that I practice every single day.
That stuff's good. I like that stuff. So look, for the audience out there, and also for me too, being vulnerable here, I mean, I've heard of those terms. So run us through the difference between theta, delta, and what's the other one?
So they're just different states of mind, bro. And
right.
You know, for example, when we're in deep sleep, we're in a certain state. When we're in functioning through a normal part of the day, we're in a certain state. And one for me that I really focus on is that state of theta. So remember earlier on in our conversation, I said, you know, from the age of 0 to 7, that's where our subconscious mind is programmed. That's because a 0 to 7 doesn't have a conscious mind. Everything's bypassing and programming straight to the subconscious mind. So for us as adults to get back to that state that we're in for 7 days, what we ultimately do is turn this off and this stays awake, which is a state of theta. And how do we get that? Get into a deeply relaxed state. Some people call it a hypnotized state.
And I mean, many different benefits on there, on not only a mental state, but a physical too, right? I mean, from rewiring that and changing that state, that's got huge impacts on digestive system, heart rate, you name it, the physical impacts. I do want to quickly digress because I'm just conscious of time, but like, let's talk a little bit about, you know, I mean, you're a cancer survivor. You've gone through some gnarly medical scenarios with being close to death. Like, just I guess we'll start it there with what were some of the biggest learnings for you from going through such absolute emotional baggage, trauma, negativity, going, I could potentially leave this world behind. And then like sort of from going through all of that journey to now as a survivor and living day to day, like what have just been the biggest insights for you personally?
Yeah, there's so many things that I learned in that experience. You know, we spoke earlier before we pushed record about me not enjoying footy. Well, it's not that I don't enjoy it anymore, it's that I just don't see the importance of it anymore. Previous to me being sick, you know, footy was just as important as breathing. When I went through an experience where I was told I was going to die, everything shifted for me. And it was in that moment that I realized health is the number one thing as a human being, because without health, we have nothing. You know, often you'll hear about the rich guys or the really wealthy guys who, you know, give their health away to have all this abundance, monetary energy. And then at the end of their life, they're trying to spend all that to get their health back. So I learned that firsthand. It helped me to really prioritize what's fucking important in life, bro.
Yeah, hard.
I used to give so much energy to things that for me now just don't matter. And one that's really important is just fucking deep connection with human beings.
Yeah. What does matter? Yeah. So apart from just deep connection with humans, but really what floats your boat these days?
Me being fucking happy. I'm not
well, I wouldn't have thought you turning around and going, me being just miserable day to day, bro. That's what I love. That's what I thrive for. I wake up every day. I can't wait to feel shit.
Bro, you spend enough time with me, and you know, I listen to podcasts, I've been on podcasts, and I love people, and I'm not judging. You know, people get these massive, fucking beautiful, powerful answers that sound really sometimes even astronomical. And then I'll jump on and be like, just being happy.
Yeah.
Like, that's how simple I am. And people are like, oh, but give us something that's really amazing about it. I'm like, no, just being happy, like, fuck, that floats my boat.
Well, yeah, you can say that, but any good journalist will just probe and be like, well, okay, well, happy's pretty across the board. We all want to be happy, but it's a variable, right? It's not a constant and a consistent for every single human on this planet. What makes you happy is different to what makes me happy, right? But
yeah, absolutely, 100%.
But I want to dive just a little bit deeper from the moment you got your diagnosis to the mindset to being in hospital and then coming out of it all. Like, what type of shit was going through your brain when you're just having these doctors come up and saying some pretty gnarly things, being like, this ain't looking good, and it could be all over. And hey, look, who knows? I mean, that's the power of the mind, right? Were you saying, obviously, just really positive affirmations on the regular, just like, I'll get through this, another hurdle, this is just another blip in the road, or like I mean, what I'm trying to say is it would have been so hard not to slip into some immensely deep depression, which would have probably fed the cancer, right? We all know thoughts are connected to our bodies. But what were you saying on a day-to-day?
Yeah, it was in that experience that I realized how powerful our minds are. And from a place of experience, bro, honestly, I remember this moment vividly. You know, the doctor's saying, you need a bone marrow transplant. This is the plan moving forward. And the first question I asked is, oh, when can I play rugby again? And I asked it 3 times, and after the third time, the specialist got quite frustrated as she said, "Mate, you'll never play rugby again. You'll be lucky to live." And my ego showed up. I also, especially in that point in my life, didn't like being told what to do. I'd lived a childhood where my old man just told me what to do all the time, and that really triggered me. Because of those 2 reasons, you know, I remember the thought, like, you ain't telling me who I am or how I'm going to live. Like, literally, it was like a fuck you, I'll show you. And moments after that, my 3 children were in the room, and my mind was like, I ain't going nowhere. There's 3 children that need their dad. And I didn't just step into like thoughts and affirmations. Like, I fucking, with all my soul and body and mind, believed that I wasn't going anywhere. And I guess to give some reference to it, all the people that are diagnosed with what I have, bro, are either dead now or bedridden.
Really?
They are in hospital every single week or at home laying in bed.
Jesus.
And
so you're an absolute outlier anomaly.
Yeah. So we had a conference, a world conference in Sydney, and the leading head specialist in the world flew from the Netherlands, and she thought I was there as a carer to help with some of the other people that were on crutches and in wheelchairs and stuff. And I spoke to her at lunchtime, and she had mentioned that only 1% of the world's population that have what I have still live, you know, a normal functioning life, and they're very rare. But she's actually never met one in person. Zoom calls, yes. And I looked across at her and I said, I think I'm one of those, part of the 1%. And she turned to me, and that's when she realized, fuck, you're a patient. You're not a carer here. So I quite often I'll say I'm the most blessed, unlucky person you'll ever meet. Oh, no.
Far out, man. That's, yeah. Speaking of pause moments, I think I just need to pause. There's a lot to take in there, Wa. How do you think almost dying shaped who you actually are today as a person?
I started to care more about myself. Like, previous to that, I had a mindset that, like, I actually don't give a fuck if I die.
Is that right?
I had zero care for myself, bro. And the reason why I didn't care about other human beings, if I hurt you, I don't give a fuck. If I hurt me, I don't give a fuck. And in that moment where you're told, you're like, you know, I just got to reflect. And I remember when everyone left my room for the first time, bro, I burst into tears. And that's when I was like, fuck, this is pretty full on to be experiencing what I've just been told, and now I'm going to have to go through this. Okay, cool. Man, I actually really like living here on this planet. I don't want to go. So that shifted for me, because I started to care about myself, and that's grown over the years. I started to care about other people. So that was a really big shift for me, bro, that experience.
Yeah. So do you think, so before this diagnosis, was it more of a mindset around, look after Wa's own interests and big egos, and just pretty much, yeah, give no fucks really about anyone else but yourself? And then,
well, I didn't even care about myself.
Right, okay, right.
Yeah, we were driving cars at fucking 180, 200 kilometers an hour, and I had zero. If we flipped the car, it didn't bother me. You know, we were in.
Was that in that Scucks little CRX that you had?
Yeah, Cane Green was the worst. Fucking hell, we'd do some stupid shit, bro, that we should have wholeheartedly been dead.
Yeah,
we were doing really reckless things, bro. And I'm not proud of this stuff. However, it is part of my story, and I know it's shaped the person I am today. Like, we were robbing people's cars, robbing people's houses, and then just for fun, standing there waiting for the person to come out. We had a mindset of, I just didn't care about myself, bro.
Yeah, that's definitely another layer and another tier up from that. We were still down in Kitty's Corner, bro, doing roof racking and door knocks. Yeah, you guys just scaled up your operations, eh? I mean, the most reckless stuff, I won't say the winery, but the biggest thing we would do, I mean, it was pretty savvy, really. It was a highly profitable model. We'd just jump the fence of a winery, take a lot of wine, then sell it at school and bottles, man. And we were, yeah. And then straight to the after ball to meet all you Napier boys dudes for rumbles after Terrendale High School boys stole all your girls. That's the only reason you guys wanted to roll us. We were just more handsome than you, let's be honest.
You're probably not wrong.
It's good times, man. Hey, I want to flip the script a little bit, just talk about, or not too much, but just talk about like your gratitude muscle, which I'm sure you've got a strong gratitude muscle. But what benefits do you personally get out of flexing your gratitude muscle on a day-to-day?
Yeah, for sure, bro. I know from experience that when I'm in a state of gratitude, I'm open to receiving. And the way I like to, I guess, logically make sense of that or explain it is like, when someone done something really nice for you, or they gave you a gift out of the blue, you're like, fuck, thank you so much. You're in deep thanks, so you're open to receiving that. So we can practice being in that energy. That means I'm open to receiving. And when I'm open to receiving, bro, beautifulness comes into my space because there's beautifulness out there. However, quite often when it comes to our space, we're blocked off. Let's go the opposite of gratitude is resentment, for example. When I'm blocked off and I'm in resentment, something comes to my space and it's like, I can't get in because I've blocked it off. If I can practice
gates are locked, bro.
Fucking oath, bro. If I can practice gratitude and move through resentment really quickly, I'm just a vessel of receiving. Like, thank you.
Do you ever suffer from? Have you ever suffered from social anxiety, awkwardness? You get fight, flight, panic attacks where you just can't be around. Like, have you ever suffered that stuff or not so much? You're probably too staunch for that, eh?
Nah, not at all. I wouldn't say suffered. Look, I wouldn't say no. We got brought up in a family, bro. It's very common for us to be around people. What I have realized is I didn't have any boundaries around when my energetic levels were low to say, hey, I just want to go be with myself and build my energy levels back up. So not so much anxiety around that, but just knowing when I need my own space as opposed to being around lots and lots of people.
Are you well, I know, I mean, we've got layers of introverts, extrovert all through us, and even that term omnivert, but how would you sort of say, or how would you characterize yourself personally?
I would say definitely a bit of both. Probably more so in my younger days, extrovert in a really fucking unhealthy way. There was nothing was internal at all. Probably more so in the last 24 months, I've been like just really sitting with myself. Like for the past 5 or 6 weeks, I haven't worked. And we live on a piece of grass and water runs past, and I just go and sit on that grass for 3 or 4 hours a day and just sit and be by myself. And I've had so much beautiful realizations by just sitting and being by myself. So practicing more just being with me. So I guess introvert as opposed to being way out here and extrovert.
Yeah, nice. Good answer. I like that. With your ego, I mean, how's that changed from the old Watene to now? Like, I mean, how do you and also referencing what you said earlier around, look, that'll always be a part of you. I mean, how do you manage that sort of? I mean, I do that monkey chatter brain ego type stuff. I mean, it sounds like you've done a lot of work and you've got a lot of self-care. I mean, would you say that ego mind is really quieting down these days? Is it still just chatting away at you? How do you manage that on a day-to-day? Any tips, tools for people out there that have big egos? I mean, I need to sometimes keep mine in check, man. I can hear that little brain roll into a room and be like, oh yeah, I'm the hottest scucks here, you know, like I'm okay. But then I'm like, I don't like that statement. Like, you know, like it's like, why do you need to, like, well, it's more comes out of that competitiveness, right?
Yeah. I think building a relationship with your ego and not making your ego wrong. I guess let's bring it as a whole. The relationship with ego's internal dialogue. It's like, what's your relationship with yourself in regards to the internal dialogue? We're having a conversation right now. I have the intensity of this conversation that we're having right now, I have with myself on a daily basis. I build a relationship with myself regarding my internal dialogue. So it's very clear when my ego is showing up and protection. I'm like, yeah, that serves. Let's move forward. Other times it's like my ego is being triggered and showing up to protect me. And I'm like, oh, we don't need that, right? We're safe and we're loved.
So what do you do to get out of your own head?
I like to be in my own head.
Oh, okay.
So I'm so okay with building that.
You're more comfortable. You're really comfortable with those inner thoughts and the monkey chatter brain going back and forth, like
100%. I've definitely. We're all having conversations with ourselves every single day, the entirety of the day. Some people are more conscious of those conversations, and when you're deeply conscious and have a relationship with that internal dialogue, I believe we have more choice of what we want to do moving forward. Most people are on autopilot, and that internal dialogue is just choosing their life for them, and it's just in loops and cycles that are actually not serving them.
Very true. Very, very true. Profound almost. I'm going to flip it over to working with the mongrel mob. You've worked with the mob. Obviously, it depends on who's doing the commentary, but for me, as I guess this is my show, I mean, words that come to mind, and the narrative is scary, intimidating, fucking frightening. But I mean, what was your experience like, and what were the biggest learnings for you working with one of the most dangerous gangs in New Zealand?
Yeah, well, I feel super blessed and super grateful for the amount of humans that have come into the amends space to do workshops or walks with us, and frequently we have gang members at our workshops or walks. We've had 3 separate gangs at the same walk at the same time.
Wow.
Specifically, when we've done a workshop just with the mongrel mob in New Zealand, and my experience of that, bro, they treated us they were so welcoming. We didn't just run a workshop with them, we stayed at this retreat with them for the entire weekend, so 3 days. And mate, they were very welcoming. And what I learned, well, I actually already knew this, but what was confirmed for me is they are no different to us. They are hurt, just like a man with a suit on his back or a man with a rugby jersey on his back. However, they are less accepted than the man with the rugby jersey on his back or the man with the suit on his back. So therefore, more suppression, therefore the outburst, on a greater scale, and again, more judgment, less acceptance. So it's just a big loop.
Why do you think they are judged and less accepted in society? What do you think?
I validate and understand to a certain degree. It's because of the behaviors that come most part out of, gangs. I wouldn't put it just as the mongrel mob. So there is validity behind that. And because there is more extensive outbursts, that means there needs to be more love and understanding and compassion given that space, place, and in particular these men. So, but my experience was I was grateful. I copped a lot of heat, especially on social media, for running that workshop. And I understand that that's those people's perspectives. I know what's true for me, and I'm 100.
What type of heat? Just classic. I don't know why you would go and deal with those people.
So you're supporting fucking people who supply drugs, gangsters, rapists, all the things. Yeah, these men fucking hurt women. You're just as bad as them. We cop some heat, bro. But again, because I knew the reason, and also
but also on a level of, I mean, look, there's so many layers to this, and it can go on very long, but at the level of your intention and approach to wanting to help these members, right? It's like you're not kind of going in there being like, I support their behaviors. You're going in to be like, well, your program is to provide a sort of a rehabilitation to try and transform. It's a transformational type of program, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
bro.
they just obviously got no context and insights, bro. So gone with the wind with those brothers. Yeah.
Exactly, bro. Exactly.
I want to chat a little bit about what you would have dealt with dealing with the mob, right? A lot of them are, big drug users, alcoholics and things. Have you personally ever been drawn to alcohol to relax and, to use or self-medicate or any form of drugs for that matter? And if so, has it, how was the relationship with it? And what's what you learn out of that with any form of potential substance abuse?
Yeah, bro, like most things in my life, I started at a very early age. I was drinking alcohol at 11 years old. I was in nightclubs with my parents at 14 years old. I was going to school to make your boys drunk sometimes. I'd start home because my old man worked 10, 12-hour days. So I'd start home at lunchtime and there'd be beers in the fridge and I'd drink 3 or 4 beers and then go back to school. The only reason I went back to school is so I just didn't get a hiding from my old man in case he found out. So at a very early age, I was drinking alcohol quite frequently.
Was your dad scrapping with you on a regular basis?
My old man used to, most of my childhood, bro, would cop a hiding most days. As I got older, probably around 12, until the age of 15 or 16 when I left home. There wasn't so much hidings, but every now and then I'll get flogged, but not so frequently.
Would you fight back or no?
Bro, it took me till I was 21 years old to actually stand up for myself. You know, even at the age of 20, bro, when I was very physically able and more capable than my old man was at the time, I was still a little boy who was fucking terrified of him. So it didn't matter that I was physically stronger and more capable than him. I was still terrified of him, bro. And the only reason why I finally stood up to him is because, you know, from my view, he had spoken really disrespectfully to my children's mother and taken my children, and we had been drinking alcohol, so I was pretty upset. And then he come in and things happened, and I didn't hit him, but I just finally stood up for myself, and our relationship changed in that moment. So
you're getting a good relationship now?
I've got the most amazing relationship with my dad. Everything that I wanted as that little boy, to be acknowledged, to be loved, and to hear the words, "I'm fucking proud of you." Like I have all that today with my dad, and I'm super proud of him, bro. He's come from a very old school background. Don't show emotions. Everything gets sorted out with violence and fists. And he's
be staunch, walk tall, right?
Absolutely, bro. So he does the work just like we do. He comes to the workshops. He comes to walks. He jumps on Zoom calls with me. Him and his partner come over, and we have massive, like, deep chats about their childhood and how they can navigate more powerfully through life. So I've got a great relationship with him today, bro.
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. Watene, Waenga, what a corridor, what a conversation, bro. We could go. I think we need to probably build a little web series, man. We could chapter 3. I mean, I haven't even unpacked. Obviously, with every guest, I do a range of research and questions, but I love going off the cuff too. But I do want to say a big thank you for coming on. We've had a lovely chat, and I'm keen to keep this going, but I do need to wrap it up now, unfortunately. But thank you for coming on the Luke Farr Show to motivate, educate, and inspire our next generation of leaders. You've provided some seriously great insights, man. And hopefully for the purpose of the show is to spread those insights for people to learn and become the better version of themselves. But I just want to say a big thank you for coming on, brother.
So welcome, brother. Beautiful. And thank you for having me on your show.
All good. Cheers. I'll just hit stop record.